Hello, my friend, and welcome to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Whether this is your very first time listening or you've been following along for a while, I want you to know you're in the right place. This podcast was created for people just like you. People who understand English, but want to feel more confident when speaking it. And today, we're going to take one of the most important steps in your English journey, learning how to introduce yourself with clarity and confidence. But before we dive into any phrases or techniques, I want you to take a moment and imagine something. Picture yourself walking into a room where everyone is speaking English. Maybe it's your first day at work in a new country. Maybe it's the first class of a course you've dreamed of for years. Or maybe it's your first night with a host family and you've just arrived in a brand new place. What do you say when someone turns to you, smiles, and says, "Hi, nice to meet you"? That moment is powerful. It's more than just saying your name. It's the beginning of a real connection. And that's why today's episode matters. Because knowing how to introduce yourself is the first real test of speaking English in the real world. It sounds simple, but it isn't always easy, especially when you're nervous or unsure about what words to use. And that's where this podcast comes in. Here on English Without Limit, we don't focus on perfect grammar or memorizing long vocabulary lists. We focus on real communication. Our goal is to help you feel confident using English in your everyday life. You'll hear real stories, real situations, and most importantly, practical tips that you can use right away. One thing I always say is this: you don't need perfect English to make a great impression. You just need clear English and the courage to speak, even if your sentences are simple. And one of the best places to start is with what you already know: your name, your background, your interests. So let's go back to that moment in the room. Someone says, "Hi, I'm Sarah." What's your name? What do you say? Do you smile nervously and reply, "I'm Ahmed"? Or do you say, "I'm Ahmed from Istanbul. I'm an engineer. I just moved here"? Which version do you feel ready to use? If you're not sure yet, don't worry, you will be. I remember speaking with a listener from Warsaw. Her name is Anna. She told me about her first international conference in Berlin. She had studied English for years, but when she arrived at the welcome dinner, she froze. People were introducing themselves so casually. "Hi, I'm Lucas from Amsterdam." "Hey, I'm Nina. I work in marketing." "Hi, I'm James. I teach at a university in Dublin." When it was Anna's turn, she said, "I'm Anna from Poland." And then she stopped. She felt embarrassed, like she had missed her chance to connect. Later that night, alone in her hotel room, she opened her notebook and wrote a few simple sentences. "I'm Anna. I'm from Warsaw. I work as a translator. I love languages." She practiced them again and again. And the next morning, when she met someone from Istanbul, she smiled and introduced herself with confidence. They talked for over an hour. That's what I want for you. Not perfection, but confidence. Not long speeches, but a real voice, a real presence. And here's something important to remember. Your story is worth sharing. You don't need an exciting job or an international background to make a strong introduction. Saying, "Hi, I'm Qian from Shanghai. I'm a student and I like cooking" is more than enough. It's real. It's human. It opens the door to conversation. And that's one of the reasons I love hosting this podcast, because I get to share the stories of learners just like you. People from all over the world learning at their own pace, using the words that matter to them. Let me tell you about Matteo from Buenos Aires. He wrote to me after listening to an older episode. He had started working in a call center where English was required. His reading and writing were strong, but speaking, especially on calls, was a challenge. At first, he only said, "Hello, this is Matteo." But after hearing how others introduced themselves, he tried something new. "Hello, this is Matteo. I'm calling from the customer service team in Buenos Aires." That small change made him sound more confident and professional. And even more importantly, it made him feel better about himself. Now, maybe you're thinking, "But Julia, my English isn't good enough yet." And here's what I want you to know. Yes, it is. If you can understand this podcast, you already have what you need to introduce yourself. You might need to practice your pronunciation or build a few sentences. That's okay. That's exactly why we're here. Every time you introduce yourself, you're not just giving information. You're inviting someone to know you, to remember you, to connect with you. That's how conversations begin. That's how opportunities grow. And remember, you don't have to say everything at once. A simple line like, "I'm Farah, I'm from Jakarta, and I'm learning English," is a beautiful start. As you grow more confident, you can add more. What you do, what you love, why you're learning. But always remember, the most important part is starting. You belong in English. This language isn't just for native speakers. It's for learners from Paris and Seoul, Nairobi and Toronto, Manila, Cairo, and São Paulo. It's for people who are practicing, making mistakes, learning, and growing. So take a deep breath. You're here now, and you're not alone. I'm with you. And so is this global community of learners. Together, we're building confidence, one sentence at a time. Let's get started. Let's talk about a skill that might sound simple, but is actually one of the most powerful things you can learn in English: introducing yourself. It may sound basic. Just say your name, where you're from, what you do. But that moment, the moment you introduce yourself, is the door to connection, to confidence, and to growth. Think about the last time you met someone new, maybe online, maybe in person. How did it begin? Most likely, with a short greeting, a simple introduction. That small exchange sets the tone for everything that follows. When you introduce yourself with confidence, you're not just making a good impression. You're telling yourself, "I can do this. I can speak English." I've met so many English learners from all over the world, and again, I hear the same goal. I want to speak naturally. I want to feel fluent. But when I ask, "How do you usually introduce yourself?" many people pause. Some say, "I just say my name," or "I get nervous and forget." That's completely normal, and it's the perfect place to begin. Introducing yourself is one of the first ways to use English in action. It's not a test, it's a chance to use words that matter. Your name, your city, your dreams. The more you do it, the stronger you become. It's just like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Let me tell you about John, a software developer from Seoul. He wanted to attend tech conferences abroad, but every time he tried to speak at a meetup, he froze. He told me, "I can write long emails, but when someone asks, 'What's your name?' my mind goes blank." We worked on a few simple sentences together. "Hi, I'm Jun from Seoul. I work in software development. I am interested in tech innovation. He practiced them at home, and then he used them at a meetup in Singapore. Later, he wrote to say he felt like a completely different person. Just a few clear sentences gave him confidence, even in a new country. And that's what I want for you. Because you deserve to feel confident when you speak. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need fancy words. You just need your voice and the courage to begin. We're going to talk about something small but powerful. Something that might seem simple on the surface, but actually holds the key to confidence, connection, and real progress in your English journey. That something is your introduction. When I say introductions are more than just information, I really mean it. They're confidence builders. They help you focus, not just on what you say, but how you say it. Your pronunciation, your tone, your rhythm. They're also one of the best ways to invite others in, to get a response, a smile, or even a brand new conversation. You know that moment when someone says, "Nice to meet you," or "Where in Seoul?" Suddenly you're not just practicing English, you're in it, you're connecting. And that's how it begins. Introducing yourself isn't only for social situations, it shows up everywhere. Think about job interviews. What's the very first question you usually hear? Can you tell me a bit about yourself? That question is actually a gift. It gives you a chance to lead with your strengths. And if you've practiced your introduction, you'll feel more ready. You won't panic. You'll say something like, "Sure, I'm Aisha. I'm originally from Nairobi, and I've been working in finance for 5 years. I'm passionate about helping people understand money in a simple way." Now, let's switch scenes. You're traveling, you're checking into a hotel, or meeting a guide for a city tour. That quick intro. "Hi, I'm Aisha. I have a reservation for tonight." It does more than confirm your booking. It helps people see you, know you, and begin interacting with you in English. But here's the truth. If you're not used to saying your name or your country out loud in English, those little moments can feel intimidating. That's why practicing your introduction matters. It helps you stay calm and clear when you need it most. Let me tell you about a student I remember clearly, Victor from Prague. On his first day at university in Toronto, everyone had to stand up and introduce themselves. He told me his hands were shaking as he stood, but he had prepared. He said, "Hi, I'm Victor. I'm from the Czech Republic. I'm studying environmental science, and I'm excited to be here." It wasn't perfect. He made a small mistake, but the class smiled. And later, someone came up to him and said, "Hey, I'm also in environmental science. Want to grab coffee?" That tiny introduction, it opened a door, not just to a class, but to a friendship. When we practice introducing ourselves, we're practicing real English. We're building the habit of speaking. We're learning to breathe, to slow down, and to find words that feel natural to us. You don't have to sound like a native speaker. You just have to sound like yourself, clearly and with intention. And here's something I've seen again and again. When you introduce yourself with care, people listen differently. You're not just giving information, you're making a connection. And that connection, it can lead to so many things. A new job, a deeper conversation, a moment to practice even more English. Let me share another story. Carlos, from Madrid, had never introduced himself in English outside the classroom. Then one day, while traveling in Tokyo, someone asked him, "Where are you from?" And he replied, I'm Carlos. I'm from Spain. It's my first time in Japan. Just like that, he felt something shift. He had used English with a stranger, and it worked. That's the magic. The more you do it, the more your brain believes, yes, I can do this again. So, yes, your introduction is the first step. It's not just about words. It's about identity. It's about stepping into a new language and saying, this is who I am. Even just a few short sentences can help you feel capable and grounded. Every confident English speaker I've met started here, with a simple, strong introduction. It doesn't matter where you live or why you're learning. What matters is that you show up in English and say, "Hi, I'm here, I'm learning, and I'm ready to talk." Now I want to tell you a longer story, one that still gives me goosebumps. It's about a woman named Anna from Warsaw, Poland. A few months ago, Anna attended her very first international conference in Berlin. She had just started working in tech, and her manager encouraged her to go. It was exciting, but she wasn't fully prepared for one thing: introducing herself in English. She had studied English in school. She could write emails. She understood a lot. But speaking to strangers in a new city, that was a different challenge. On the first day, someone came up to her and said, "Hi, I'm Martin from Amsterdam. What's your name?" She froze. "I'm Anna," she said, and then silence. She told me later how disappointed she felt, not in him, but in herself. She wanted to connect, but didn't know how to begin. That night, back at her hotel, Anna made a decision. She wrote down a few clear, simple lines. "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Warsaw. I work in IT. This is my first international conference." She practiced them, out loud, slowly. She added a few friendly questions. "What do you do?" "Where are you from?" The next morning, she tried again. She saw another attendee at breakfast and said, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Warsaw." And just like that, a real conversation began. By the end of the day, Anna had introduced herself to 4 people. And that night, she had dinner with a group from all over the world. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't fancy, but it was real. And that changed everything. When she returned to Warsaw, Anna joined online English meetups. She helped organize a local tech event. And now, she introduces herself with confidence every time. "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Warsaw." That sentence opened more than just conversations. It opened her future. Stories like Anna's remind me why introductions matter. They're not just formalities. They're acts of courage. Courage doesn't mean the fear disappears. It means you move forward, even when you're afraid. So if you've ever felt frozen like Anna, or quiet like David, another student of ours, just remember this. You don't need long speeches. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need a few clear words and a willingness to speak. Even a sentence like, "Hi, my name is Julia. I'm from New York." That's enough to start something real. Hi everyone, I'm Julia, and you're listening to English Without Limit, the podcast that helps you speak English with confidence, clarity, and connection, step by step. Today, I want to talk about something simple but incredibly powerful. Introductions. I believe so strongly in the power of a simple introduction. Why? Because it lowers the pressure. It gives you something you can prepare, practice, and actually use in many different situations. Whether you're at the airport, joining a new class, starting a job, or even chatting online, just saying something like, "Hi, I'm Name, I'm from City, and I'm learning English." That one sentence can create a warm moment. It shows that you're open, that you're ready to connect. Let me tell you a quick story. I once met a woman named Sophie from Paris. She told me that when she started working in customer service at an international hotel in Dubai, she was terrified of speaking English. She could understand a lot, but speaking was different. It made her nervous. So, on her first day, she memorized just one phrase. "Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm new here." That was it. Just one line. But she used it again and again. Whether she was talking to a guest, a coworker, or a manager, she smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm new here." And that simple sentence opened doors. People welcomed her, helped her, and started conversations. Later, she added more like, "I work at the front desk. How can I help you?" But it all began with that first simple sentence. She didn't need to sound like a native speaker. She just needed to speak. And by keeping it simple, she made real connections. If you're listening right now and you feel nervous about meeting people in English, I want you to know you're not alone. Many learners feel exactly the same way. But here's the good news. You don't need a long speech. You can start with just 3 small ideas: your name, your city or country, and one simple fact about you. Like, "Hi, my name is Ahmed. I'm from Cairo. I'm an engineer." Or, "Hi, I'm Yuki. I'm from Tokyo. I'm here to practice English." That's more than enough to start a real conversation. And here's something important to remember. Simple doesn't mean boring. It means clear. And clarity builds confidence. When your introduction is short and easy to remember, you're more likely to use it. And every time you do, you build a little more confidence. You start to realize, speaking English isn't about showing off how much you know. It's about sharing who you are. I often tell my students, write down your introduction and say it out loud. Practice it. Make it part of your routine. Stand in front of a mirror or record yourself. Say it 5 times each morning. You'll be surprised how quickly it becomes natural. And when the real moment comes, at a meetup, on a trip, in a new class, it'll just flow out. One of our listeners, Carlos from Madrid, told me that before his trip to Singapore, he practiced his introduction every morning for 2 weeks. He said, "Hi, I'm Carlos. I'm from Spain. I'm traveling for work." Just that. But when he arrived and met his new colleagues, those words helped him start every conversation with confidence. Later, he added a few questions. "Where are you from? Is this your first time here?" But the base, the foundation, was always that simple introduction. And it worked. You see, we often forget how powerful it is to simply say our name and where we're from. These are the little things that connect us. We might speak different languages, come from different places, or be at different levels in English. But when we begin with something basic, we find common ground. I've seen it again and again in every group I've led, every event I've joined, and every message I've received from this community. Simple introductions are more than a learning tool. They're real communication. And communication is what language is all about. You don't need perfect English. You can start right now with just a few words. You can begin conversations, build confidence, and create meaningful moments. Let me share another story. This one about Yuki. I first met Yuki during one of our online community conversation classes. He had just joined from Tokyo, where he was studying design at a university. The group that day was a mix. People from London, Istanbul, Nairobi, Kuala Lumpur, and more. Everyone was a little nervous, as learners often are. I invited each person to introduce themselves, just name, location, and anything else they wanted to share. When it was Yuki's turn, he unmuted his mic, paused, and quietly said, "I'm Yuki, Japan." Then he quickly muted again. Just 3 words, but that was enough to begin. The group smiled. They nodded. There was no judgment. Still, I could tell Yuki wasn't satisfied. He listened carefully as others spoke. Someone said, "Hi, I'm Amina from Nairobi. I'm studying medicine." Another added, "Hello, I'm Layan. I live in Berlin and I love video games." Each person said just 1 or 2 sentences, but it helped us see them more clearly. Yuki stayed after the class ended. Others had signed off, but he stuck around. I could sense he wanted to try again. He asked me, "Can I say, 'I'm Yuki, I'm from Tokyo, and I'm studying design'?" And I said, "Of course, Yuki. That's perfect." His face lit up. You could almost see his confidence grow. The next week, he returned, and when it was his turn, he said, "I'm Yuki. I'm from Tokyo, and I'm studying design." Slowly, clearly, and with a little smile. People responded, "Nice to meet you, Yuki." "That's cool. I like design too." That short introduction started a conversation, and just like that, Yuki wasn't just a quiet name on the screen anymore. He was part of the group. What changed? Not the vocabulary, not the grammar, just the structure of his sentence. Instead of Yuki, Japan, he said 3 clear things: his name, where he was from, and what he was studying, and that helped others connect with him. That's what a good introduction does. It invites people in. Over the next few weeks, Yuki participated more. He asked questions, he shared short answers. He even made a few jokes. Each time he introduced himself, his words sounded more natural. "Hi, I'm Yuki. I'm from Tokyo. I'm a design student, and I want to improve my English to talk with people from other countries." Still simple, but with rhythm, confidence, and purpose. I later asked Yuki how he felt during that first class. He said, "I was nervous. I thought everyone would speak better English than me. I didn't know what to say." Sound familiar? It's something so many learners feel. You join a new group, and suddenly, your mind goes blank. But here's the thing. No one's expecting perfection. People just want to know a little about you. That's all. When you hear others using short, clear sentences, you realize, I can do that too. That's why I always recommend this basic structure. I'm name. I'm from city or country. I'm job, student, or reason for learning English. This is your bridge. You can use it anywhere. On a video call, in a classroom, even in a casual online chat. It helps you speak without overthinking, and the more you use it, the more natural it becomes. Yuki's story is powerful because his progress came from something simple. He didn't memorize long speeches. He practiced what he already knew until it became his own, step by step, sentence by sentence. That's how real progress happens. If you've ever told yourself, "My English is too bad. I don't know how to introduce myself," I want you to remember Yuki. He went from Yuki, Japan, to a full, confident introduction in just a few weeks. Not by knowing more, but by saying less clearly. Every time you introduce yourself, you're not just giving your name. You're opening a door. You're saying, "Here I am. I want to connect." And that's all it takes to begin something meaningful. Hi everyone, welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Yulia, and today I want to talk about something really important: how to introduce yourself in English. Imagine this. You say a simple sentence about yourself, and the person listening replies, "Oh, I've been to Madrid," or "I work in tech too," or "Where do you like to hike?" Just one sentence can open up so many conversations. I've met people from all over the world who use this kind of introduction, and every time, it helps create better connections. Let me tell you about Fatima from Casablanca. She joined a language exchange group I was leading. At her first meeting, she said, "Hi, I'm Fatima. I'm from Casablanca, Morocco. I teach French, and I love painting in my free time." Her introduction was so warm that 3 people immediately said, "I love painting too," or "I always wanted to visit Morocco." You could see how this small effort changed everything. Fatima was no longer just a name on a screen. She became someone people wanted to talk to. When you use this structure, your name, where you're from, your job or interest, and a little curiosity, you open a window into your life. And you don't need big or perfect words. You just need honesty and a few clear sentences. Here's another example from Wei, a student from Shanghai. The first time he introduced himself, he said, "I'm Wei from China. I study computer science. I like coffee." It was short and simple, but it worked. Someone asked, "What kind of coffee do you like?" And that started a conversation. After a few classes, Wei's introduction grew a little more. "Hi, I'm Wei. I'm from Shanghai, and I'm a computer science student. I really like learning about coffee from different countries." Still simple, but with more detail and personality. Some learners ask me, "What if I don't have a job?" Or, "What if I don't know what to say?" My answer is, that's okay. You can talk about what you're learning, what you enjoy, or what you hope to do. For example, "Hi, I'm Sophia from Athens. I'm learning English because I want to travel more. I love watching documentaries." That's a great way to share something real, even if your life is changing. If you feel nervous, try writing your introduction first. Practice saying it out loud a few times. Try different versions. You don't have to memorize it perfectly, but being comfortable with your words helps reduce anxiety. Over time, it will feel more natural. Let's try a couple more. "Hi, I'm David. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I work in marketing and I enjoy playing the guitar." Or, "Hello, I'm from Cairo. I'm a medical student and I love reading mystery novels." Each example gives a little information. Not too much, just enough to start a conversation. Your introduction can also change depending on the situation. In a casual class, you might say, "I'm Arjun from Delhi. I'm learning English and I like movies." But in a professional setting, you might add more. "Hi, I'm Arjun. I'm from Delhi, India. I work in finance and I'm learning English to improve my international communication." Adjust your words based on where you are and who you're talking to. But the basic structure stays the same. Think of your introduction as a small gift you give to someone else. You're helping them know who you are. When they reply, they give the same gift back. That's the start of connection. The heart of communication. Let me share a few more real examples from learners I've worked with. I'm Lucia from Rome. I teach high school English and I love taking photos on weekends. I'm Ahmed from Dubai. I'm studying economics and I'm a big fan of football. I'm May from Taipei. I'm a graphic designer and I enjoy learning about different cultures. Each introduction is simple but powerful. They build confidence and open doors to new conversations. Now, I want to tell you a story about Amina from Cairo. A few months ago, she got a job offer to work at a tech company in London. It was a huge opportunity, but also nerve-wracking. Starting a new job in a new country, in a language that's not your first, adds pressure. Amina told me she spent the night before her first day practicing what she would say. She wasn't worried about technical skills, but about the introduction, the moment everyone expects you to speak about yourself. She prepared a short, clear sentence, practiced it in front of the mirror, and made sure she felt comfortable. On her first day, her manager introduced her to the team and said, "Would you like to introduce yourself?" Amina smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Amina. I'm from Cairo. I just moved to London for this job, and I'm really excited to work with all of you." Simple, honest, and clear. The response was immediate. Smiles, welcomes, and friendly conversations. Her teammates started including her, inviting her to lunch, and she began feeling more confident. Amina told me she used to be shy about speaking English. She worried about making mistakes. But after that day, she realized people weren't listening for perfect grammar. They wanted to understand her and know who she was. She shared this with me. "I always thought I had to speak like a native to be accepted, but now I know that people respond to energy, confidence, and clarity. My accent doesn't matter as much as I thought. What matters is that I speak." That's a powerful lesson. Being real matters more than being perfect. Since then, Amina has made friends, joined a running group with colleagues, and improved her English in everyday moments. And it all started with a simple introduction. So if you're preparing for a new job, class, or online meeting, prepare a short introduction like Amina did. Practice it. Use simple words. Smile when you say it. Believe that what you say is worth hearing, because it is. Remember, many learners don't lack intelligence or motivation. They lack practice, especially with introductions. That first step, saying your name, where you're from, and a little about yourself, feels simple but can carry pressure. That's why I suggest thinking about your introduction like a key. A simple key that opens doors to conversation, friendship, and opportunity. Start with a basic version, like, "Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Rome." Or, "Hello, I live in Jakarta." Once you feel comfortable, add more details, like your job or hobby. "Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Rome, and I work as a nurse." Later, "Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Rome. I work as a nurse, and I love reading mystery novels." Practice makes it easier. Try speaking in front of a mirror. This helps with eye contact, body language, and confidence. Don't judge yourself. The mirror is your friend. Another great tool is recording yourself. Listen to your voice to find where you can improve, like speaking slower or louder. You can even share recordings with friends for feedback. Writing your introduction first is also helpful. Start with a basic sentence, then expand it. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being real and connecting with others. Hi everyone, welcome to English Without Limit. I'm Julia. Today, I want to talk about how to introduce yourself in English. This is something many learners find difficult, but it doesn't have to be hard. Keep your sentences short and clear. Use simple words. It's not about sounding poetic. It's about being understood. For example, you can say, "Hi, I'm Julia. I'm from Seoul. I work in marketing. I enjoy watching documentaries." That's a strong introduction, simple and clear. Once you feel comfortable, try saying it without reading. Practice until you can say it naturally, even when you are walking or doing something else. If you want, make a few versions for different situations. One for work meetings, one for social events, one for online chats. For example, in a business setting, you could say, "Good morning. My name is Julia. I'm from Seoul. I manage digital marketing for a retail company." Or in a casual situation, you could say, "Hey, I'm Julia. I'm from Seoul. I work in marketing and I'm learning English to travel more." Practicing these versions helps you get ready for real conversations. Some learners ask me, "Julia, how many times should I practice before it's good?" My answer is always the same. Practice until you stop thinking about the words. When you say your introduction without hesitation, without translating in your head, that's when it becomes natural. That's when your confidence grows. The good news? It doesn't take months. If you practice 5 minutes a day, you will feel the difference quickly. Your voice will sound clearer. Your rhythm will improve. You will feel less nervous talking to others. It's not about being perfect. It's about being ready. And remember, you don't have to be fluent to introduce yourself. Introductions are for everyone, even beginners. Every time you try, you move forward in your English journey. So, here's a simple exercise for today. Find a quiet place. Stand in front of a mirror. Say your name. Say where you're from. Say one thing about your job or what you enjoy. Repeat it several times. Then record yourself. Listen to it. Smile at your progress, because you are improving. Every time you speak, even to your reflection, you build a stronger you. Let me share a story about a learner named Luca from Milan, Italy. Luca wanted an internship abroad to improve his English and get experience. He applied for a company in Toronto, Canada, that works with green technology. When Luca got the interview invitation, he felt excited and nervous. His English was not perfect, but he knew his introduction would set the tone. So Luca focused on his introduction. He practiced for 3 days. Not for hours, just short moments. He stood in front of the mirror, walked around, recorded his voice, and listened again. He didn't memorize a long speech. He made it short and simple, using words he was comfortable with. This is what Luca said. "Hi, I'm Luca from Milan. I'm studying mechanical engineering. I'm passionate about sustainability." Short, simple, and true. Why did this work? He started with his name and city. This made a personal connection. He said what he studied, showing he had relevant skills. He shared his passion, which made him memorable. When the interview day came, Luca was nervous but ready. He greeted the interviewer with a smile. When asked to introduce himself, he said exactly what he practiced. The interviewer smiled and asked more questions about his passion. The conversation flowed naturally. Luca didn't speak perfect English. He made a few mistakes. But his preparation, clarity, and passion stood out. A week later, Luca got the job offer. Now, he works in Toronto on projects that help the environment. Luca's story shows that you don't need big or fancy words. You just need to speak clearly, be yourself, and prepare. Many learners think they must be perfect to succeed. That's not true. You need to be clear. You need to be yourself. You need to prepare. When I talk to learners, I say, your introduction is a tool. It's how people hear your voice for the first time. It's your chance to show who you are and invite others to listen more. If you're getting ready for a job interview or any situation, focus on your first sentence. Make it yours. Write it, practice it, say it until it feels natural. Even if you're not applying for a job, the same idea applies. Every conversation starts somewhere. Your introduction is your starting point. The more you practice, the more comfortable you will be. Luca is still learning. His English isn't perfect, but he doesn't wait for perfection to speak. And that's what I want for you. Use the English you have. Make your words work for you. Keep practicing. Every time you say your introduction, you're building confidence. You're showing the world who you are. Now, I want to talk about something important that holds many learners back: perfectionism. I see this fear a lot. Many learners think their grammar or pronunciation must be perfect. But this fear can stop you from speaking. It can make you freeze or avoid talking. I've heard this from learners in London, Paris, Shanghai, and Mumbai. They want to say everything right and use complex sentences to impress. But guess what? It's not necessary. Imagine meeting someone new who says, "Hi, I am Anna from Warsaw." Simple, clear, easy to understand. Even if Anna says, "I like to traveling," and makes a small mistake, you still understand her. The goal is communication, not perfect grammar. Let me share another story. David is from Madrid. He was afraid of mistakes. He rehearsed his introduction for hours. I told him to try a simple introduction, focusing on being clear. David said, "Hi, I am David. I from Madrid. I work in finance." Not perfect, he missed am, but the message was clear. People understood him and responded warmly. David felt more confident and started speaking more. Many learners stop themselves from speaking because of fear of mistakes. But mistakes are part of learning. What matters most is that people understand you. Even native speakers make mistakes. Communication is about connection, not perfection. When you focus on being understood, your confidence grows. Confidence is the key to fluency. Mistakes can help you learn faster. When someone kindly corrects you, you remember better than from just studying, so don't fear mistakes. Embrace them as part of your journey. Accept that your English won't be perfect right away. That's okay. Your brain is learning new ways to speak. When you allow yourself to speak without fear, you improve every day. One tip: prepare a simple introduction. Practice it until it sounds natural. Don't memorize word for word. This helps you adapt if someone asks questions. If you get stuck or make a mistake, don't stop. Keep going. The person listening wants to help you. Remember, communication is a two-way street. The listener wants to understand and connect with you. Your mistakes are not a problem. They are part of learning. Think about when you met someone new. Maybe you were nervous, but you shared a little about yourself. How did it feel when they smiled and responded? That's the feeling you want every time you introduce yourself. Now, about pronunciation. You don't need a perfect accent to be understood. Clear pronunciation means making your words understandable. Speak slowly and clearly. That helps a lot. Practice sounds you find hard, but don't wait for perfect pronunciation before you speak. Listen to English speakers, but don't try to copy everything. Focus on rhythm and important words. Use your own voice and style. This makes your introduction sound natural. When you stop chasing perfection and focus on clarity, you free yourself from pressure. You open the door to real conversations, friendships, job chances, and learning. The most important thing is to speak, connect, and enjoy the process. Many learners ask me what to do when they forget a word during introductions. My advice: don't panic. Use simple words you know. If you don't know software developer, say, "I work with computers." If you forget, "I enjoy hiking," say, "I like walking in nature." Keep it simple and keep going. Everyone makes mistakes. Every mistake is a chance to learn. You are not alone. thousands of learners feel the same fears. The difference is accepting imperfection and focusing on communication. When you practice your introduction, think about being clear, not perfect. Share who you are and invite others to know you. Your words don't have to be flawless, they just have to be heard. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Keep practicing. Keep speaking. Your voice matters. Your introduction is your chance to shine by being understood, not by being perfect. You are doing great. Before I finish, here's one last story. Priya is from Mumbai. She moved to Singapore for work. She had to attend a professional meetup with people from many countries. Priya was nervous because she had a strong accent. She worried people wouldn't understand her. But she knew this was a great chance to practice and connect. She prepared a simple introduction. Hi, I'm Priya from Mumbai. I recently moved to Singapore to work in marketing. I'm excited to meet new people and learn more about this city. She focused on speaking clearly and confidently. She reminded herself that the goal was to be understood, not to sound like a native speaker. When Priya introduced herself, some fear came back, but people smiled and nodded. They listened carefully and responded warmly. Several people later told Priya they liked how clear and friendly she was. Her accent did not matter. What mattered was her confidence and genuine interest to connect. Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and today I want to share an inspiring story and some valuable tips about introducing yourself in English with confidence and clarity. Let me tell you about Priya. She once attended a meetup in Singapore where many people spoke English with different accents. At first, she was worried she needed to speak perfectly or lose her accent. But what she discovered was truly eye-opening. No one expected her to be perfect. Instead, people valued her courage to speak and her openness. This helped Priya relax and enjoy the conversations that followed. She made new contacts and even found someone who offered to show her around the city. Priya's experience shows us why focusing on clarity and confidence is far more important than trying to sound like a native speaker. Your accent is part of your identity and culture. It can be a bridge, not a barrier. When you speak clearly and confidently, people will listen and respond positively, no matter your accent. Think for a moment about your own experiences. Have you hesitated to speak English because you worried your accent was too strong or different? Priya's story reminds us that fear should never stop us. The key is to speak clearly, slowly if you need to, and with a smile. Smiling makes you sound friendlier and feel more relaxed. Another lesson from Priya is the power of preparation. She didn't just show up and hope for the best. She prepared a simple introduction she could say comfortably. This gave her a strong starting point. As you practice your introductions, start with simple sentences you can use easily. Add more details as you feel ready. And remember Priya's positive attitude. She saw the meetup as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than a challenge to fear. This mindset can help all of us. When you focus on connecting and sharing, rather than worrying about mistakes, your English will improve naturally. I've met many learners from cities like Paris, Seoul, and Istanbul who worry about their accents and stay silent in group conversations. But when they take the step to speak, even imperfectly, others respond with kindness and encouragement. That's the magic of human connection. So, here's a little challenge for you. Practice your introduction out loud, just like Priya did. Record yourself or practice in front of a mirror. Speak clearly and comfortably. And when you're ready, find small chances to introduce yourself in English, online or in person. Now, let's talk about adapting your introduction to different situations. The way you introduce yourself at a formal business meeting is very different from how you might do it at a casual gathering or in a class. For example, in a formal meeting or job interview, your introduction should be clear, concise, and professional. Something like, "Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from London and work as a project manager in the tech industry. I'm excited to join this team and contribute." This tells people who you are, where you're from, what you do, and shows a positive attitude. At a casual social event, you can be more relaxed and add personal details. "Hello, I'm Sarah from London. I work in tech, but I love hiking and photography." This invites people to connect on a personal level. In a learning environment, mentioning your language goals helps others connect with you. "Hi, I'm Sarah from London. I'm here to improve my English for work and travel." If you're in an interview or presentation, a polished introduction focusing on skills works best. "Good morning, I'm Sarah, a project manager with 5 years' experience in software development, specializing in team leadership." If you're unsure how formal or casual the situation is, prepare a core introduction that works in most cases, then add or remove details as needed. For example, "Hi, I'm Sarah from London. I work in technology." Add hobbies or professional goals depending on the setting. Pay attention to who you're speaking to and adjust your language. Avoid slang or complex words with beginners, but use more technical terms if your audience is familiar with your field. Notice how others introduce themselves to get clues about what's appropriate. Sometimes you'll only have a few seconds to introduce yourself, like at a busy networking event. A mini introduction like, "Hi, I'm Sarah from London, working in tech," is short but effective. When you have more time, add details about your background, interests, and goals. Be ready to answer follow-up questions naturally, like talking about your favorite hiking spots or explaining your job simply. In online settings like virtual meetings or classes, speak a little slower and clearly, or write a simple introduction in the chat, such as, "Hi, I'm Sarah from London. I work in technology, and I'm learning English to improve my career." I encourage you to prepare different versions of your introduction and practice them out loud until you feel confident. Remember, the goal is to connect and share a bit about yourself in a way that fits the moment. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Finally, I want to share David's story. David is from Cape Town, South Africa, and started college in New York City. On his first day, his professor asked everyone to introduce themselves. That moment can be nerve-wracking but full of opportunity. David spoke simply and clearly. "Hi, I'm David from Cape Town. I'm starting my major in political science and hope to work in international relations someday." Even though his English wasn't perfect, his clarity and honesty made a strong impression. His introduction opened many doors for him. So remember, every time you speak English, you're improving. Your accent is part of your unique story, not a barrier. When you focus on clarity and confidence, you create space for others to understand and appreciate you. Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and today I want to share with you a story that I love. David's story. It shows how a well-prepared introduction can open doors and help you connect with people you've never met before. David is from Cape Town, South Africa, and he started college in New York City. Imagine how nerve-wracking it must have been on his very first day when the professor asked everyone to introduce themselves. But David prepared, practiced, and kept his introduction simple and clear. After class, during the break, several students came up to him to start conversations. Some were curious about South Africa and his hometown. Others shared that they also studied political science or were interested in international relations. That brief self-introduction created bonds that lasted throughout the semester and beyond. Before that first day, David told me he felt nervous. He practiced his introduction several times to say it clearly, without rushing or stumbling. He didn't try to use complicated language or long sentences. Instead, he shared key information: his name, where he was from, his field of study, and his dreams for the future. This simple approach gave him confidence and helped others understand him easily. David's story reminds us that when you're in a new environment, especially a diverse and fast-paced place like a college in New York, a simple, honest introduction is your best tool. It invites people to know you better and creates opportunities for connection and friendship. And here's the important part. You don't have to be perfect in English to make a great first impression. Clarity and honesty are what really matter. That's how connections form naturally. Even if your English isn't perfect, remember people appreciate honesty and openness far more than flawless grammar or accent. David's introduction followed a clear structure, starting with his name and place of origin, then his study area, and finishing with his future goal. This logical flow makes your introduction easy to follow and memorable. You can use this pattern for your own introductions in any new situation. Whether it's college, work, or a social group, your introduction sets the tone and helps you feel comfortable. David's experience teaches us that preparation and honesty make a big difference. They help you overcome fear and turn a simple moment into the start of something great. So, even if English isn't your first language, don't let that stop you from sharing your story. Remember David standing in front of his new class, simple, clear, and sincere. His introduction opened doors to friendships and opportunities. You can do the same by preparing and practicing your introduction with confidence. Think about where you'll use your introduction next. Maybe you'll meet new classmates, co-workers, or friends. Imagine how you want to be remembered and what message you want to share. Create your own brief, clear, and honest introduction inspired by David's story. This is a great way to build connections in English and feel more confident in new situations. Before we finish, I want to encourage you. Speaking about yourself in another language can feel scary. But this step is a huge part of gaining fluency and confidence. When you practice introducing yourself, you're not just learning words, you're building bridges to new people, opportunities, and experiences. It's an act of courage and growth. Speaking clearly in English doesn't require perfection. What matters most is your willingness to try, to share who you are, and to keep practicing. Every time you say your name, where you're from, what you do, or what you enjoy, you strengthen your skills and grow more comfortable with English. The key is repetition and the bravery to speak even if you feel nervous. Right now, take a moment to imagine how you would introduce yourself today in English. What details would you include? Maybe your name, city, or country, job or studies, and something you enjoy. Keep it honest and simple. Now imagine how you'd introduce yourself a month from now with daily practice, new words, and growing confidence. You'll speak more naturally and proudly share about yourself in English. That progress is possible, and it starts with small, consistent steps, like practicing your introduction regularly. Here's a gentle challenge. Practice your introduction out loud. Use a mirror, record yourself, or practice with a friend or family member. Keep it simple and clear. Start with a basic version and add details as you get more comfortable. This helps your mouth and brain get used to English sounds and structure, preparing you for real conversations. If you want to keep improving your English, listen to more episodes of English Without Limit. Each episode brings stories, tips, and encouragement to help you grow. Stay curious and practice regularly, and you'll find yourself speaking English more easily and naturally. Remember, learning a language is a journey. Every small step counts. You have the ability to share your story and connect with others through English. It's a powerful skill that opens doors and builds relationships worldwide. I'm proud of you for taking this step with me today. Keep practicing, believing in yourself, and speaking your truth in English. Your voice matters, and the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Thanks for listening to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and I'll see you in the next episode.